Good morning. I am Bernice Patrice, and every day I want to build up my body through nourishment, my spirit through intercession, and my soul through wisdom. And currently, I'm doing that through a 90-day juicing journey. I am doing that through my 70-day praying in the spirit documentary and my 70-day pre-homestead preparation documentary. So, this morning series, I created it so that it can counsel me through patterns and just help me to look at insights from science, pregnancy, from the Bible, so that I can live strong without declining, stay covered without being exposed, and be prepared instead of caught off guarded. And so the pattern that I want to address today is just moments where I feel like nothing is happening. I'm doing the work, showing up, being consistent, but I don't feel like the results is showing up, and the progress is feeling slow or quiet, and the development seems so hidden. But I'm just gonna look at science and the pregnancy and the Bible just to encourage me and to understand that there is something for me, and that is something that I can see. There before I can actually see it. Basically, that's what I'm saying. There are things for me, even though I don't see it. And so, when I look at science, it says that when growth is internal, the brain enters into a mode called latent development. And it's saying that it happens when the neural pathways are forming, but the outward behavior hasn't fully changed. So the hippocampus strengthens memory patterns. The prefrontal cortex builds new decision pathways, and the basal ganglia begins stabilizing new habits. So all of those things take place because development is actually happening, but it doesn't show up immediately. But over time, it becomes more and more powerful. So that lets me know that even when it comes to the brain, stability is always built before the visibility shows up, and I have to create an internal structure before the external structure can appear. It seems like that's just how it works. Internally, you have to be strong before it's seen externally. And I have to remember that. And when you can even see that in pregnancy, the baby development, just the whole process of how the baby is developed, it happens quietly within the womb. In the 12th week, because we're in the 12th week right now, the reflex for the baby happens, and we can see that reflex is happening when we look at the fists and the toes, because it begins to wiggle. Even the reflex with swallowing and squinting the eyes, just all of those reflexes are taking place. Things are forming, fingernails are forming, fingerprints are forming. Those things that are so unique to the baby, those things are forming. Even the facial features, they're becoming more and more defined. I believe every week it's becoming defined, but it's becoming more defined. The kidney begin secreting urine. Bone marrow start producing white blood cells. The nervous system becomes more coordinated. Muscles and nerves communicate. None of those things that I'm sharing with you that can be seen, but they're happening. And it's essential to the growth and development of the baby. So it's forming, the baby is forming internally within the womb before we can externally see it, or him or her. So yes, so even the changes within the mother body, those things are internal. The hormones levels out, energy even increases. The uterus rises into a lower abdomen, like it begins to expand more, and the skin begin to glow, or pigmentation may show even more. And so though some things are actually visible for the mom, but it's mostly internal too. There's some internal things happening that we don't even see, especially just the baby itself. So overall, it just shows me that development doesn't mean it isn't happening. Even if you can't even feel every progress, it doesn't mean it isn't real. I'm sure the mother cannot feel the fingernail forming or her baby features being more defined, but it's happening. It is happening. Just because a change is invisible outside of the womb, it doesn't mean that change isn't actively taking place. So this encourages me to let me know that if I'm doing the work, there is change taking place. And God always builds on foundation before he reveals the structure. So I remember that stability, it forms internally before it is shown externally. Quiet seasons are often the most productive seasons. And then also hidden development is still development. Even if it's hidden, it doesn't matter. It is still, you're still growing. And I want to just realize that I'm someone that is growing, even if it's not visible. And I'm someone that is stable. And disability is forming, even if it's hidden beneath the surface. And then I'm someone who trusts that the unseen development is taking place because God is building that foundation in me. I want to look at a story in the Bible, and it is through a lady. It's a lady, and her name is her name is Hannah, the mother of Samuel. The mother of Samuel. I was like, her story. It's a powerful story. Alright, so if you can turn to me to 1 Samuel chapter 1 and then go to verse 10 for me, please. So Hannah had a hidden pain, she desired a child, and it was a private pain. She was greatly loved by her husband, but she wanted a child. And when we look at Samuel chapter 1 verse 10, I had stopped at the wrong place. Samuel chapter 1 verse 10. Put on my glasses. It says that Hannah was in deep anguish, crying bitterly as she prayed to the Lord. She had a deep, deep cry to the Lord. A deep cry to the Lord from her soul. From her soul. And it seemed like that deep cry was the development of something that caused something to happen beautiful above the surface. So when we go on to the next verse, it says, and she made this vow, O Lord of heaven's army, if you will look upon my sorrow and answer my prayer and give me a son, then I will give him back to you. He will be yours for his entire lifetime, and as a sign that he has been dedicated to the Lord, his hair will never be cut. And so she aligned her desire with what God's purpose was, his desire. He needed someone to stand in the gap during that time. And her request was what was needed at that time period. And so she made that vow, and it was necessary, and it happened quietly, but it was so needed in that time period. And if we go down to verse 18, I think I'm going to read the whole thing. As she was praying to the Lord, Eli watched her, seeing her lips moving but hearing no sound. He thought she had been drinking. Must you come here drunk? He demanded. Throw away your wine. Oh, no, sir, she replied. I have not been drinking wine or anything stronger. But I am very discouraged, and I was pouring out my heart to the Lord. Don't think I am a wicked woman, for I have been praying out of great anguish and sorrow. In that case, Eli said, go in peace. May the God of Israel grant the request you have asked him. Oh, thank you, sir, she exclaimed. Then she went back and began to eat again, and she was no longer sad. So I was just bringing up this part, this verse, how she was no longer sad. But it was after the internal thing was dealt with that was the reason why she was no longer sad. Her face was no longer downcast because God answered her prayer. Eli, the priest at the time, said, go in peace. May the God of Israel grant the request you have asked of him. She was no longer sad. Earlier, she made a vow. Oh Lord, heaven's army, if you will look upon my sorrow and answer my prayer and give me a son, then I will give it back to you. He will be yours for his eternal lifetime. And as a sign, that he has been dedicated to the Lord, his hair will never be cut. His hair will never be cut. So she was no longer downcast because the hidden thing that she wanted, she got the request. And it was before she even saw it. She was already thankful. And then the next verse, I'm going to say the entire family got up early the next morning, went to worship the Lord once more. They returned home to Ramah. When Elkanah slept with Hannah, the Lord remembered her plea. And in due time, she gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, for she said, I asked the Lord for him. And I just think that it didn't look like nothing was taking place, but God heard her cry. God responded to her vow. God manifested what was needed. Her unseen prayers produced Samuel, one of Israel's greatest prophets. She conceived because of her cry. She conceived. And the visible results happen after all of that. So I feel like this story fits the hidden development because her life is a perfect example of just showing how her stability was formed beneath the surface. She had the hidden pain. She looked to the Lord for the shift. And eventually, and he allowed for her to see things change. She could see, and she was able to birth Samuel. And so it just shows how the deepest works, the deepest things happen in a quiet season. And I'm juicing, I am praying in the spirit, and I am building a pre-homestead. I'm in the process of it, and I haven't really been documenting lately because I've been really busy, but I am still taking the steps to work on it. But I've been consistent with this morning series. I'm doing it because I really want to be a person that's known for nourishing my body, spirit, and soul. And just have to remind myself every single day why it's important. So when I nourish my body, it regulates my hormones, it reduces inflammation, it strengthens my digestion. When I pray in the spirit, it allows for me to be stronger in prayer, worship, and intercession. And so when I build up my soul in my household, it allows for me to be a person of wisdom and strength, no matter what's going on internally and externally. And it allows for me to just be strong in the Lord. So the part of the reading that I really want to focus on was that her face was no longer downcast because God heard her prayer. I love that. So what I'm choosing today is I am choosing to understand that even when it looks like nothing is changing, I don't have to be downcast. God is working behind the scene. So if you want to also build up your body through nourishment, your spirit, your soul, I have my sponsor, Dr. Stella. She has a wellness store, and you can shop that using the special link in the description, or you can visit my website, bernicepatrice.com, to see the different ways that you can work with me. Love you. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow.